તાજા સમાચાર તમારી ભાષામાં મેળવવા માટે ડાઉનલોડ કરો ગુજરાતી મિડડેની એપ.
How do you see this whole scenario?
Look, this latest attack is basically one in a series of attacks that have started. This is one of the more audacious attacks that has caused so much of an uproar. But the Baloch freedom fighters have been launching attacks on targets which they've been picking up and have been achieving some remarkable success. So much so that senior political leaders in Pakistan, the Pakistan army will never admit it, but senior political leaders in Pakistan are now openly saying that the Pakistani state authority or the writ of the state has ceased to exist in virtually all of Balochistan. And it's the militants and the freedom fighters who are actually dominating the security scene. So this attack is just the latest in the series of some pretty spectacular attacks that they have carried out in the past. So nothing, in that sense, nothing extraordinary about it. But yes, the attack in itself will really hurt the ego of the Pakistan army and will probably raise significant demands for some kind of a steamroller military operation against the Baloch, which we might see in the next few weeks, maybe even days.
And also women and the child already been released.
Yes, so look, one thing you have to give to the Baloch freedom fighters, I think they have been extremely chivalrous even in their attacks. Unlike the Pakistan army, or even for that matter, some of the Islamist groups who attack women, children, old people, people who are innocent, the Baloch are very, very particular about whom they hit, whom they attack. There can always be collateral damage, but they normally, there's been no case where they've been killing women and children. No case where they've been killing any elder person. So they have been very chivalrous in that count. I don't think anybody can say the same about the Pakistan army, which in its operations goes into the houses of the Baloch people, insults their women, beats up their children, catches hold of young men and even women, and arrests them without any legal process, tortures them, and in some cases has been responsible for the killing of young students. These are university-going students in Punjab or even in Balochistan or in Sindh. They are picked up from their hostels and tortured, sometimes released, sometimes they disappear forever, and other times they are killed in cold blood and their bodies are thrown to make an example of them. So we've not seen the Baloch do this. They have attacked who they call agents of the Pakistani state and whom they consider to be legitimate targets. That sometimes includes the Punjabis who are settlers in Balochistan, whom the Baloch consider to be agents of the Pakistan government. So they have been some of those attacks against people who are not really combatants, but the Baloch have always claimed that these people act as spies, which is why they are targeted. So that is the kind of nature of warfare that is taking place in Balochistan right now.
Pakistani military intervene, all hostages will be executed.
I think the possibility that the Baloch might actually start executing all the hostages cannot be entirely written off. I think that is pretty much on the cards. In part because of the kind of anger there is in Balochistan among the Baloch rebel groups to the kind of high-handedness that the Pakistan army and the kind of operations that the Pakistan army has been conducting. Now, sometimes, these kind of threats are made that we will kill all the hostages if you don't, if you carry out any operation against us or if you don't meet our demands. But this could also be seen as some kind of a negotiating stance, to get some kind of negotiations going to get whatever people you want to release. But also remember that operations like the one which is currently underway in this train case, these people who go into these kind of operations are ready to die. So in a manner of speaking, they have nothing to lose. And if in the process of sacrificing their life for what they believe is the cause of independence of Balochistan, they make a horrible example of the people who are their hostages and execute some of them or many of them or all of them. I wouldn't entirely rule that out, but we'll have to wait and see. Probably by tomorrow, the situation will become clearer.
Corner for the Balochistan, and what will be the consequences after this whole incident?
Look, I think the Baloch are not looking for our sympathy or us having a soft corner. I think in India there is some smug satisfaction that the Pakistanis are getting a taste of their own medicine. The kind of butchery and the massacres and the killings and the rapes and the murders that Pakistanis and their proxies in Kashmir or even in Punjab for that matter have done, or the kind of bomb blasts which we have seen in places like Mumbai and other parts of India, all traced back to Pakistan. I don't think there will be any sympathy in any Indian. Of course, there are some Indians who will sympathize with the Pakistanis. They will side with the enemy anyways. But I think most Indians would not have any sympathy, will not shed any tear for the Pakistanis. Because like I said, this is just deserts which are being meted out to these guys. The kind of stuff they have done in India for almost 30 years, even longer, 40 years, is something that they deserve what they are getting. Now, what are the Pakistanis going to do in future? I would imagine that what is likely to happen, there are 2 or 3 options. One is that they continue doing what they are doing, but they're losing the plot, they're losing the game, and it's clearly not working, which means that, you set up a kind of a stooge political government, the head of which is a person who has been linked with death squads, who's seen as a puppet or a tout of the Pakistan army, who has become immensely wealthy because of the kind of stuff that the Pakistan army has done for him. So he speaks the Pakistan army's voice. That these kind of puppets are put in place in politics. They continue to carry out the kind of brutal operations they are doing against innocent Baloch. That could be one way that they will continue. The other option is that they will carry out a steamroller operation. They'll bring in the army in large numbers, carry out this operation. Basically, it's a kind of a scorched earth operation, razing villages, towns, killing people, in the hope that this will bring peace. I don't think it will, because I think it will only strengthen the independence movement in Balochistan and give even more recruits than what the Baloch are already getting, the Baloch fighters are already getting. The third option is a political option, which is that the Pakistani state starts a process of reconciliation. But again, I don't expect the Punjabi Pakistani to be able to do that simply because they consider Balochistan to be a colony. They'll keep saying our Baloch brothers and stuff like that, but essentially Balochistan is treated like a colony by the Punjabis. So I don't see them taking the political route, also because it's a much more difficult path to take. And that means not interfering in politics in Balochistan or for that matter anywhere else in Pakistan. And that the Pakistan army cannot ever agree to, simply because that you have a government in Islamabad which is a puppet government. These are people who won only a handful of seats, and yet they were given a majority in parliament. They have no legitimacy. There are Baloch leaders who have resigned from parliament saying that, look, elections or parliament have no meaning because everything out there is decided by the army. Now, if that is the kind of political approach Pakistan army is going to take, I think it's bound to fail. So all in all, given these 3 options, I don't see any of them actually succeeding to bring any kind of stability or peace in Pakistan. Maybe the peace of the graveyard, if the Pakistan army carries out these brutal, all-encompassing kind of operations to butcher the Baloch, they might be able to restore peace for some time, but I don't think they have succeeded in the last 25 years. I don't think they're going to succeed anymore. So that is where we stand right now. I think the things are only going to get worse before they get better, if at all.
સબસ્ક્રાઇબ કરો ગુજરાતી મિડ ડે. બેલ આઇકોન પર ક્લિક કરીને મેળવો તમામ વિડીયોના ડાયરેક્ટ નોટિફિકેશન.